going on, everybody? Welcome into a Sunday version of the DFS Breakdown Show. Final day of the 4-day weekend. Got the final seats in the Sweet 16 up for grabs tomorrow in round 2. We filled half of that today. Some awesome games. I was saying in our Discord today, the one positive to kind of not having as many upsets the last couple years is we get some just awesome games on Saturday and Sunday, and then into next week and beyond as well. We just get some absolutely awesome games. So really excited for what we've got on tap for tomorrow. Not much of a sweat, I guess, tonight. I think that's a good thing. Of course, all the games are over now, but we got 2 through to the final 8 in King of the Bracket. Cameron Fletcher was a hero for us this evening for High Point. I think he finished with 42 fantasy points. So I think we needed 32 or something like that to get one of them through. And then the other one was kind of contingent on Acuff, who of course went off in Brazil, who started out very good, but kind of fizzled a little bit. So we ended up getting both through. So we've got 2 in the final 8 tomorrow. We'll see if we can't get one back into the final 4 this year, at least. That'd be awesome to get 2. I am on opposite sides of the bracket. So let's see, we can probably pull that up real quick. Yeah, so I'm down here, so I could play myself in the championship technically. We'll see if that, comes to fruition. There may be a situation where I'll have to see who won these matchups, but I may play for the second day in a row, may play the same opponent as I did today in my other entry and have to replay them again. But we'll see, how that kind of works out after I get off the show, being able to check who won the matchups and things. So we've got Sunday's slate. It's going to be a fun one. Like I said, it's the same setup as Saturday, where we get a couple early. We get one at 12:15, right at just before 3 o'clock, and then 5 o'clock, 6, 7, 7, and then the late game here that started around 9:45, 10 o'clock. Same exact time schedule. So I like that. I kind of had to play a few more people early on than I like to play in that. Sometimes I kind of like to, maybe play one or so and let the slate kind of come to. But ended up playing, I guess I did end up playing 2. Burnett, who was in this stuff, was used by both opponents. And then Mara, I had early, who was used by one of the people I played, but not by the other. So we'll see. Kind of, it's not as great. Michigan was in a great spot very early from a price perspective today, whereas I don't think that's exactly the case tomorrow. The first game of the day is going to be Purdue and Miami. Pretty good total. I mean, definitely some plays that we can look at. Braden Smith just doesn't really change price. I mean, he feels fairly safe on a lot of slates. Going to play, pretty much every minute of the slate. And then we've got the 2 big men, TKR, Kaufman Wren, 7,200, and Oscar Clough, the other big man who, both project fairly well. CJ Cox was used by one of my opponents actually the other night. I mean, he is cheap, 4,300 is going to play decent minutes. It's just, does he get some shots that fall? On the Miami side, some definite guys in play. I think this game for me is going to be a little bit more reserved for tournaments. Outside of I will consider Clough probably for like a main cash type lineup. But the Miami guys project well. I just don't think they're priorities. You got Renew, Donaldson, Uday, Henderson. Pretty much all those guys are in play. I mean, for the minutes they're playing, they project fairly well. But I still think the big men for Purdue would be my favorite looks in this game. And then, from there, the rest is pretty much tournament only. I don't love the matchup for Renew, but he's fine. And then Uday and Henderson are both fine as well. Let's see here. I wanted to finalize one thing. Okay. All right. So game number 2 tomorrow is Iowa State, Kentucky. So the big news here is, of course, Joshua Jefferson getting hurt against Tennessee State and likely going to be out of this one. That brings, the prices for all these guys are definitely in play. The rates are just going to completely change as well. Lipsy, feels fine. I don't know that he's a priority, but Momcilovic, Buchanan is a great play. And then Torre, Bateman, and Heisey, who I think starts, are all in play. I mean, you're probably going to want multiple Iowa State pieces here. Kentucky, on their side, Colin Chandler still priced pretty well. Owe completely went off in their, of course, against Santa Clara. Don't love it here. He's definitely going to have the ball in his hands quite a bit. But Chandler, I think, would be my favorite out of the group. But we got to prioritize Iowa State for sure here. Of course, we'll have to try to see starters. But like I said, rates kind of change. I think Momcilovic is probably going to be my favorite out of the group. And then the cheap guys, and then like Buchanan and Lipsy after that. All right, Kansas and St. John's. Pretty big blue blood game here. Darren Peterson, price stayed, I think, exactly the same. So I like him. Badunga kind of disappointed, but I think he's okay maybe for a little bounce back here. The rest of Kansas I rarely play very much of. So I'm probably going to stay away from the rest of them. St. John's has some plays that make sense, especially in tournaments. Zuby, I think, is in play. Mitchell, for me, is always in play in tournaments. Bryce Hopkins, I think, could be a little bit more of a cash play. And then Dylan Darling is going to play quite a few minutes. 5,200 is a little too cheap for him. He's not a huge producer in terms of fantasy production, but he's going to be out there and, definitely have some interest in that. Peterson, probably my overall favorite play in the game, just, from a overview perspective there. And then probably the St. John's mid-range pieces like Mitchell, Hopkins, and Darling for a little bit cheaper. All right. UVA, Tennessee, not probably going to be the first game that I want to turn on and watch. This is probably the lowest total it is on the slate. Let's see. So Grunlow and Jakari White both project decently well. DeRitter is not awful as well. I would lean maybe Jakari White. He played really well in their first round matchup. And then Tennessee, Gillespie couldn't miss. Maybe he continues that. They're going to need him to do that as this tournament goes. And then Estrella was really good for them as well. Bishop Boswell, he's maybe you could look at him in tournaments, but I don't love going back to him here. Florida and Iowa. Florida's a 10.5-point favorite. We know Iowa's going to just try to completely pace this down. Florida's going to try to pace it up. I think what that leads to is a lot of, not great fantasy plays. Iowa's just really a team I never really mess with outside of Bennett Sturts maybe here and there. And then Florida losing such pace here. You could go to, I guess, any of these guys, but I just think they're a little too highly priced for the matchup. So this is probably a game I'm not going to have very much exposure to at all. Honestly, like my favorite play may end up being on the Iowa side and be like a Koch for 5K or Sturts. Going to play pretty much every minute as well there. Arizona and Utah State. Arizona, 11.5-point favorite here, projected to put up 83, pretty good total. Berries is, to me, is always more of a GPP play. Krivas and Karachenkov is 5,700 and 5,900. I think they're both in play. Krivas would be my favorite of those two. But, I don't absolutely love these guys here. Krivas is more of like, going to get the point per minute. Stuff's just a bit higher, more productive when he's out there. But how many minutes does he actually get pushed here? We'll see. Utah State, Elamine is there. I think he's there 4 or 5. Kind of runs the floor a lot, gets kind of those messy, fantasy points. I don't love playing anybody against Arizona here, but I think he's definitely in play at only 4,100. Pretty good price tag there. UConn and UCLA, one of my games that I'm really am interested to watch tomorrow night. I think UCLA can beat them outright, especially with the news on Demery. I don't think he's going to be back tomorrow. It just kind of feels that way. I know Terrace Reed completely decimated everything the other night. We're going to have a lot of DFS plays in here, starting with Terrace Reed. I think 8,200 is just a mistake. Caravan and Mullins, I think, are both in play. I don't prioritize them, but Malachi Smith, who we were fading last night and somehow got there, 3,600 is just, they didn't increase his price. As long as Demery's out, you got to have interest in him. He's probably a lock in anything like cash games and things. Same thing on the other side, that if Bilodeau's out, Booker, 3,500 again for him is a great price tag. We're going to have interest there. Dent, 7,900, got a little bit of a bump. I think he's going to be a little more GPP only type of a play tomorrow. But man, the two cheap anchors here, 36 and 3,500, as long as Demery and Bilodeau are both out, you're going to get, a lot of value to go up and play some of these higher price guys like Terrace Reed, Darren Peterson, maybe Braden Smith, Zuby. the Braden Smith thing is kind of tough. Like if you play a stud early and you get news that one of these guys is playing and you can't play the two mid 3K guys, then you're kind of in a weird situation. So, as building your teams when the days are spread out like this, you always got to keep those things in the back of your head for sure. But yeah, definitely a lot of good plays. If you're paying up in this game, Reed is, the best play out of that group. And then Dent, Caravan, Mullins are all kind of similar. And then you got the two super cheap guys. You could even throw in Solo Ball maybe in tournaments and hope he just gets hot scoring. Trent Perry, going to play quite a few minutes. I think he's fine as well in tournaments. But yeah, a lot of good plays in one of the later games of the slate here, UCLA and UConn. All right, again, we get the biggest total of the slate in the latest game of the slate. Actually, and it's funny that we had so many good plays from a DFS perspective just because of price and the lowest total on the slate, even lower by a point than the UVA Tennessee game. But here we get the biggest total. Bama, Phylon, Amari Allen. I think we can go to somebody like Amari Allen in tournaments. Bama just a lot of times seems to just be a tournament-only type team for me. And I don't think that's any different here. Allen, I think, would be my favorite of the group. But the Texas Tech side, you're going to have, exposure here more than likely. Anderson, price came down a little bit. Donovan Atwell again. Watts again. Jalen Petty again. Josiah Mosley. I think that's a solid play. And then you got Bamgoye, who we, all kind of played the other day. Those two guys are going to split. So, like, if you're playing, something, any contest, I don't think I would play those guys together, Mosley and Bamgoye. And you can see we've got them kind of split right down the middle in terms of minutes. I think they're both, let's see what they ended up with last game. If I can find it. Here we go. Yeah, so the bigs, Bamgoye only played 14 minutes after a hot start. Was kind of frustrating there. Had like 11 at half, and I don't think he scored again, fantasy-wise. Mosley played 25 minutes, and, the game before it was flipped back the other way, 22-18. It was 22-15 the same way, Bamgoye. And then we had more of like the 2020 type stuff. So I think I wasn't watching that game. I watched that game early on, but did Bamgoye get in foul trouble? It just really, the way that looks, let me see when he fouled and some things, because this is actually relevant because of the price tags. Maybe if we, have Booker and Smith, we don't need these guys at around 4, but I think they're, definitely in play. Let me see what we had here. All right, so that would have been on the 20th. All right. All right, so Bamgoye started out well, got one foul. Yeah, that was the issue, really. So I think those minutes are definitely more. They're trying to split them down the middle. Bamgoye had one foul at the 6-minute mark of the first half, and then he fouled about 2 or 3 minutes into the second half to get 2. They take him out until the 12-minute mark, and he gets 2 fouls to get 4 on him within like a minute. So, and then he didn't. I don't even think they brought him back in. It was just full run for. Let's see. Yeah, Mosley. Yeah, straight coming in for each other. So Mosley actually got 2 fouls at the very end of the half there. And then they brought him, had to bring him back in when Bamboye got 2, and then they brought him right back in. He played, basically finished the game from there. So I think I wouldn't really look at what happened with the minutes in the last game. I think it's going to be, barring foul trouble, I think it's going to be split down the middle, but you have scenarios where these guys, one of them, either one gets in foul trouble, the other one doesn't and gets to play 25, 26 minutes, and the other one gets knocked down to the 15. It's exactly what we just seen in the last game happen to Bamboye. Let's see here. So that's pretty much the DFS slate. Got a lot of good plays in these late games. We'll see, what we do with that. But I think we're going to have a similar ending to what we had tonight. We had let's see here. Yeah, so we had the High Point Arkansas game was just so up and down. We needed exposure here. It's going to be the same thing. We're going to want Texas Tech exposure. And then the prices on these UConn and UCLA guys a little bit later in the slate is going to dictate a lot too. Whereas we get early on, we got Iowa State that we can also play. There's just a ton of value on this slate. So it's going to be interesting to see where people go. But I think that makes like Christian Anderson, Terrace Reed, Owe, Darren Peterson, I think that makes them very good plays because we have so much value. Let's quickly touch on the lines for tomorrow. Purdue and what did we end today? So last night on the show, we go 3-0, I think. Let me see. No, we lost Vandy. I forgot. So we ended up 2-2 on the day. The show went 2-1. I added another loser in there as well with Duke or TCU plus the points. That line kept getting a little wider, and I added it. So, yeah. We have Purdue laying the 7.5 against Miami. I don't feel great about either side there. Just feels kind of right. Iowa State and Kentucky. No Jefferson. I think Kentucky's alive here. As much as they've struggled this year, when you have a guy like Owe, they have talent. They just haven't really put it together to this point. So I like the 4.5. We'll go ahead and I think we're going to lock that one in there. Kansas is plus 3.5 against St. John's. Don't really have a strong feeling either way there. Tennessee, I'm going to lay the 1.5 with Tennessee. Actually, don't think I am because I'm in Virginia, so they don't allow me to lay. But that'll be our show play. But I'm not actually going to have anything on it just because of rules, or I would. Florida 10.5 against Iowa. I just don't love double-digit favorite, having to lay those points against a slow team like Iowa. Arizona's 11.5, Utah State. Those numbers just kind of feel right. UConn, UCLA, that's my favorite one of the day. UCLA plus the points on the money line as well. And then Texas Tech, I'm going to lay that as well. So we're going to have definitely some picks. We're going to have Kentucky. Like I said, I would have Tennessee, but we're going to have UCLA and Texas Tech late there as well. I'll add those to the sheet. We'll see where we're at. That makes, after today, I guess we kind of treaded water. Yeah, because we went, let's see, we lost. That's one, and then, yeah. All right. That'll be it for me. Good luck to everybody on Sunday. I hope we, finish off the weekend strong. It's been a fun weekend. Well, of course, we're going to be back at some point this week. We'll get a show up for the Sweet 16 slate on Thursday, and then we'll probably do it same time. Maybe we'll sweat out. Hopefully, if I can get into that Final Four, we'll be able to sweat that out Thursday night or something pretty late. So we'll see. Good luck to everybody Sunday. I'll be in the Discord if you have any questions. Ranks will be up either later tonight or in the morning. Let's close out the weekend strong. Good luck.